Hi, and welcome again to One Big Thing, your weekly KAC legislative update. This week, since we're still very early in the legislative session, I want to take some time to talk to you about some of the legislative tools that I use that you can also use when following the Kansas legislature. Now on my screen, you see right here the Kansas legislature homepage, kslegislature.org. This legislative page has a lot of information, including the anticipated session deadlines, highlighted right here, as well as the pre-filed bills that were filed prior to the session starting. There's also a lot of useful information, such as the Bills and Laws tab. Here you can find any legislation that is being talked about or dealt with during the legislative session. If you know the bill number, you can look it up here. You can also find committee information on this page for both standing committees. Those are the committees that meet every single week. And they have all of their information here. So if you want to see who is on a committee or get contact information for that committee's chairperson, you can find that here on this particular page here. In addition, the Kansas Legislative Research Department puts out a lot of really good information. And I reference this in our legislative updates each week, but I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of it. Of particular note is the recent publications that you can find on the Kansas Legislative Research site. On there, you can find what's called the briefing book. And the briefing book is a book that basically takes different topics that the legislature has handled and goes a little bit more in depth about those topics. I've noted in this week's legislative update some of the more interesting topics that deal with county-specific issues. In addition to that, it has information on previous legislatures. So you see here publications from the 2022 legislature, including the summary of legislation. If you want a quick summary of legislation that was passed last year, you can go to the summary of legislation. You also have the 2022 fiscal facts, which gives information about the Kansas state budget, and the appropriations report for fiscal year 22-23. So all of that information is here on the Kansas Legislative Research site. If you're looking for that, that's a great reference tool for quick reference if you need information on the Kansas legislature. So those are just some of the tools that I make use of during the legislative session. Wanted to make sure that I gave you an opportunity to kind of see some of those tools in a quick reference. Feel free to utilize those tools in a supplemental way, as well as the other things that we give you here at the Kansas Association of Counties, so that you can track your legislation and things that are important to you more easily. That's all for now, but I look forward to talking to you next week about some of the upcoming legislation that we're seeing in this year's legislative session. Thank you.